Hello, in this video I'm going to explain rounding. So question number one here is a three-part problem. So we're given the number 7784. And the first part they want us to round to is the tens. So rounding, you can think of rounding as making an approximation. Is some number closer to 30 or to 40? Is some number closer to 500 or 600? Is some number closer to 9,000 or 10,000? So it depends on which place value they want us to round. And they'll tell us here. So this is a three-part problem, and in the first part, they want us to round to the tens, okay, to the tens. So we start with the right-hand number, and we go to the left. We know this is the ones. This is the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, and so on. So what I would recommend you do is you underline the digit that they want you to round to. So here, the first part, they want you to round to the tens. So go to the tens and underline it. So here we go. Ones, tens. The 8 is in the tens column, underline it. Then what you do is you look to the digit to the right. This digit to the right of the underlined number will tell us what to do. Are we going to round up or round down? So if this digit here, if it's 5 or more than 5, we're going to add 1 to this, and this becomes a 9, right? If this was 5 or more. However, if this number here to the right of the underline is 4 or less than 4, we keep the 8 just the way it is. All right, so since this number is 4 or less than 4, it's 4, we keep the 8. So take the 8 and you just keep it and bring it down like this. Now, anything to the left of the underline, take those numbers and bring them down, just the way they are. Any number to the right of the underline, convert to 0. Convert to 0. So this is the number 7784 rounded to the nearest tens. Another way you can think of this as this number is closer. Let's look at the 84 part. Forget the 77 for now. This number 84 is closer to 80 than it is to 90. Okay, it's closer to 80 than it is to 90. So that's an approximation then. Rounding is estimation or approximation. So this whole number here, this entire thing gets typed in here. 7780. Okay, so we can't check it till every number has been filled in. So that's part one. Part two of the problem is it's still the same numbers, 7784. However, now they want us to round to the hundreds, So we find the hundreds and we underline it. Ones, tens, hundreds. This 7 is the hundreds. Now, to see if we're going to round up or round down, we have to look only to the digit to the right. We don't care about the 4 or anything else that's beyond the 8, to the right of the 8. We don't care about those numbers. We only care about this. Since this digit is to the right, to the immediate right of the underlying number. This 8 is greater than 5. So if this number is 5 or more, we add 1 to this. So we're going to add 1 to this. So we're going to add 1 to this. We're going to add 1 to this. So 1 plus 7 is 8. bring down the 8, then you round it up number. Any digit to the left of the underline comes down the way it is. Any digit to the right of the underline converts to zeros. So here what we're saying is 7784 is closer to 7800 than 7700. All right, because now we're round to the hundreds place. All right, so let's put that in there, 7800. And then finally we have the thousands place. $77.84. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. We look to the digit to the right, which is that one right there, the 7. Since this 7 is 5 or more, we're going to add 1 to this 7. Okay? And then whatever the answer to that is, bring it down. So 1 plus 7 is 8. Any digit to the right of the underline comes down as zeros. So here what we're saying is 7784 is closer to 8,000 than 7,000. So hopefully you see the pattern here. All right, so we have 537. They want us to round to the nearest 10. Ones, tens. We look to the digit to the right of the underlined digit. This is 7. So if this number is 5 or more, we add 1 to the 3, and we will, right? 7 is more than 5. So 1 plus 3 is 4. All digits to the left of the underline comes down the way they are. All digits to the right of the underline convert to zeros. 537 is closer to 540 than 530. All right, because 7 is closer to 40 than 30. All right, so let's put that in there. $29.44. Round to the nearest 100. Ones, tens, hundreds. We look to the right only, this digit here. Since this number is 4, we're going to keep the 9, right? Remember that? 5 or greater, add 1. 4 or less, keep. Okay, so since this digit here is 4, we're going to keep the 9. So the 9 comes down. Anything to the left of the underline comes down the way it is. Anything to the right of the underline converts to zeros. 2,900. $49,649. Optional to use a comma here since we're not really doing a place value problem. We don't have to put a comma. You can if you want. Round to the nearest 100. Ones, tens, hundreds. We look to the digit to the right. Since this is a 4, we keep the 6. We don't add 1 to the 6, we keep it. This becomes 6. Anything to the left of the underline comes down. Anything to the right of the underline converts to zeros. $47, $61. Round to the nearest hundred. Ones, tens, hundreds. We'll look at this number here. It's a 6, which means we got to add 1 over here on top of the 7. 1 plus 7 is 8. Anything to the left of the underline comes down. Anything to the right of the underline converts to zeros. 4,800. Round to the nearest hundred, another 100 problem. Ones, tens, hundreds. We look to the right. Since this number is 4 or less, we keep the 8. Anything to the left of the underline comes down the way it is. Anything to the right converts to zeros. So here we have round to the 1,000. Whenever they say the 1,000 and they don't mention the 10,000 or the 100,000, when it just says the 1,000, they really mean the 1,000. If there's no period mentioned, if there's no digit mentioned, okay, in the period, then it's assumed to be the 1. If they say the 1,000, they really mean the 1,000. That's very important. So that way you don't get confused. You don't think it's a 10 or the 100,000. It's the 1,000. Ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000s right here. We're rounding to this digit. We're looking to the right only. I don't care about those. I only care about the digit to the right. Since this is a 4, I'm going to keep the 0. Anything to the left of the underline comes down the way it is. Anything to the right of the underline converts to zeros. $70,431 is closer to 70,000 than 71,000. Okay, so let's have some fun with a nice big number here. And it doesn't really matter how big these numbers are. It's still the same technique. It doesn't matter how big they are. All right, so here we have to round to the nearest 10,000. Notice how they told us we're going to round to the 10,000. So let's find that. Ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000s, 10,000s right here. We're going to round to that spot. We're going to look at the digit to the right. We don't care about those other ones. This one here. Since this digit here is 5 or more, we're going to add 1 to the underlined digit. 1 plus 7 is 8. Any number to the left of the underline comes down the way it is. All numbers to the right of the underline convert to zeros. 580,000. We're going to round to the nearest 1,000. ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. We look to the right. Since this digit here is 9, we're going to add 1 to the underlying digit. So 1 plus 4 is 5. All digits to the right of the underline convert to 0. And our last question here. Round to the nearest thousand, okay, thousand, which is the 1,000. Ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000s, okay, very good. Now pay attention to this problem. Something interesting happens. Okay, so this is the 1,000 spot. We look to the right, and this digit here is 7. Since it's 7, we got to add 1 to the 9, correct? We got to add 1 to the 9. Well, wait a minute. 1 plus 9 is 10. How do we write that in here? Well, you can think of it this way. 1 plus 9 is 10. Right-hand digit, left-hand digit. Carry the 1 to the next column to the left. 1 plus 4 is 5. And then bring down your 1. Okay? And then any digit to the right converts to zeros as always. So in this case, what happened was 2 numbers changed. The only reason that happened was because the number that we were rounding at happened to be a 9. Because the next number up from 9 is 10, so you got to put the right-hand digit here and then carry the 1 to the left, just like regular addition. So 2 digits changed. The 9 changed to a 0, and the 4 changed to a 5. Now, another way you can think about it is this. Let's take this part here again. Now we know we gotta add 1 to the 9. Another way to think about it is this. Whenever you have a 9 here where you're rounding, you can look at the next digit to the left and think of this as 49, right? 49. Just think of it as 49. Well, 49 plus 1 is 50. That might be easier for you to comprehend. 49 plus 1 is 50. And you would do that only if the place that you were rounding is a 9. If it was like an 8 or 7, any other digit, you just add 1. All right, and then you just bring down this digit and then convert these guys to 0. So let's try 150,000 and see if it works. Okay, so that's how you perform rounding. If you like my content, click on the like button, post your comments, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.